I personally, I know the people behind this grabbing. And I can assure you, we are in court. That's why I don't want to discuss so much. I have like 7 cases with them. I won't mention names. But if called upon, I'll be able to show that this and this and this are the people who are taking over this land by force. They have no documents, they have not bought it. Thank you very much. My name is Jane Gituku, MCA Maiela Ward, that is sitting, elected General Elections 2022. And I'm grateful for an opportunity to clarify some few issues that are popping up everywhere, especially on media, over the land saga in Ndabibi, specifically the Ndabibi Farmers Company Limited. So much was said on the 8th of March when the security team and the area MP and the immediate former MCA called for a meeting at Gadondia Trading Center, and they gave a lot of information that I feel was completely unnecessary, uncalled for, and with a lot of misinformation that has even made this matter more complicated. What I would like to state is that the intelligence of the people of Maiela Ward was highly questioned by the speakers. They elected me because they were able to evaluate and they know that I am up to the task they gave me. This is not a matter of or a subject of discussion, because when people decide to vote, they have looked at so many aspects so that they vote a leader who they feel will represent their interest. The immediate former MCA tell people the truth. You know what happened. You disrespected the people who elected you, and they are the people of Maiela. And therefore they decided that having given you 15 years that had produced nothing, they needed a change. And when we start now insinuating that there are people who are alien to Ndabibi and their leaders, I think that is the worst scenario of misinformation. You know very well that the land we call Ndabibi, the Maiela area, initially belonged to the white settlers, and anybody who came there walikuwa farm hands. You yourself, you know that even your father, Mr. Kamani, is not buried within the Ndabibi area because you are also we can call it somebody who also relocated to that place. You know that the name you are mentioning, Kamani, that you are talking about being member of the Ndabibi Farmers Company Limited, but actually it was a certain Njoroge. I'll not go into details because it is not necessary, but you know who Njoroge is, and you are riding on that to confuse and convince people who already know your history so well. Now, on matters the Ndabibi Farmers Company Limited, the misinformation of 5,000 acres, I don't know how many acres, who owed what, how it started, simply is the fact that in 1964, and I want people to note that in 1964, a will was written by the white settler by the name Colville. And Colville was the owner of all that land that we are now calling Ndabibi, plus other pieces of land. He owned Kikope, which is currently been sold to Jenga Karume. He owned Tarabete. He owned all that area up to Oserian. Unfortunately, he died in 1966. And the reason why Dalamea came to the picture is because Dalamea married Diana, the wife of Corville. And therefore, the properties were merged under Rere Mateso. So Rere Mateso is a company that came up after the death of Colville. But Colville had a will. It is in Kenya Gazette. I can be able to produce it in a court of law, where he specifically instructed the company by the name Hamilton and Matthews to ensure that his farmhands get the land that he had promised them, which was supposed to be 2,504 acres. He hived it from his property and he gifted them. The 200,000 you are talking about was purely to cater for transfers, was purely to cater for other developments that were there. They had troughs for their cows, watering their cows. There are some other things that required some money. And these people raised 40,000 Kenya shillings. These farmhands that we can be able to present them, their names, although some are already late. And because of this, they were able to raise 40,000 to pay for what was required to transfer the gift that they were given by their former boss, who was the late Lord Corvine. The balance of 160,000 shillings that they could not raise, the company, through Lady Diana, acquired a mortgage of 160,000, and they handed the mortgage to the Wazes so that they could pay. And in the year 1972, they formed a company that was supposed to be used in all the chattels and all that, so that they were able now to get their land through what we call a transfer, the memorandum of transfer. The company was formed in 1972. And in 1974, the people were able now to be the owners of the land. But because of the mortgage, they occupied part of the land, and the other part of the land was left to farm so that they will be able to service the loan of 160,000. And they were able to clear that mortgage with the bank in 1983. If you look at your documents very well, you'll be able to understand this. In the 1980s, they were able to clear their mortgage. In 1983, they engaged Olueng and company advocates to come and subdivide the land. Now here is where the directors conned the old men. And that is where we are coming in. I'm not coming in because I want to compete with anybody. The MP called me big names. But the Bible says in Psalms 109 that every curse you pronounce, every insult you pronounce comes back to you and it multiplies. The people of Maiela are intelligent enough. The insults directed to me, it is not to me, but it is to the people of Maiela. And it is the reason why I'm stating here clearly that we leave it to God. Because even if you call people big names, that doesn't change the fact that the land we are talking about does not belong to one Benjamin Kipkolei. And this land that Benjamin Kipkolei purportedly bought from ADC, not a single day had it been part of ADC land. What happened? The 1,000 acres left for communal farming became a target of the directors. And these directors invoked one Walter Kilele, who by then was in charge of ADC land. And everybody should note that ADC land and ADC was established to kind of mop up any land that belonged to the white settlers, but was not bought, so that they became the custodian. But in case there was a land that was left, ADC were mandated to account in Lamu, in Nakuru, in other places where you find ADC. And all what they needed to do was just to make sure that that land is safe, but if allocation was required, they would hand it over to the Ministry of Lands for registration and other documentation. So what am I saying here? What I'm saying is that the land in question, and I would beg the MP who seems panicky, who is escalating a matter that is not there, who's accusing me of not attending that meeting, who is accusing me of telling people that I want to vie for the seat of MP to calm down and reason. She said that nobody has ever approached her over the issue of that land. Can I remind her a bit that for 3 good occasions, not 1, not 2, 3, she has sat down with the people of Ndabibi and she has categorically stated that she doesn't want anything to do with that land. How come now she's saying that nobody has ever gone to her? Do I remind her? Do I remind her that just before the elections of 2017, the people, the leadership that they are now harassing, met her at Heritage Hotel in Naivasha? Can you remember the documents you collected from these people? Can you remember what you promised them that you never delivered? They were not tired. After you got into your place, you got that post, they met you at a Drake office at Naivasha Hospital. Do you remember what you told them? Do you remember who you called? You called the director of settlement. And they told you, and the director of settlement told you that she cannot handle the baby matter. Can you remember that? The 3rd time, and even the 4th time, petitions that have been filed, and I have that petition with me, have been brought to your office, signed by your officers, and you've been requested by these people severally to come and assist them. And I thank one of the speakers who told you he's surprised that since you were elected, he has never heard you talk about land. But since you had come on that 8th of March, he was sure that you're going to handle that matter and you're going to assist them. Now, when it comes to saying that if you feel your land has been grabbed, if you feel your land has been taken, you volunteer yourself. Remember that the threats you've given the community. Remember the many people you have accused. The land in question is not about 5,000 acres. It is about ADC land, a Buru Forest land, and the Ndabibi Farmers Company Limited. What happened? The ADC community and their land amalgamated the portion that was left for farming by the community. Instead of subdividing the land, to distribute to the members, they amalgamated ADC land with a portion of LR 1695, IR 1417. So they hived from this title deed 1,000 acres and included it in their land, ADC. And may it be noted here that we also have government land in the name of Eburu Forest. These are documents we can provide. These are documents we can prove. And we have no problem with ADC land. We have no problem with government land, Eburu Forest. We are only requesting that while you can take all the other land, spare the people of the Ndabibi Farmers Company Limited the 1,000 acre that is their land. Please, we beg you. And stop dragging in the name of our president on matters land so that you can hide there, scare people, intimidate them, and torture them. The GSU that you brought in, we know MP, you are the one who brought that GSU. And one Inspector Karanja, you have defied a court order. That was issued to you. You have defied court directions to provide documents. And the reason why we are saying we need documents is anybody in this Republic of Kenya constitutionally has a right to own land, including His Excellency the President. Even us in Ndabibi, we have a right to own land. So what makes the difference? It is a document. Why can't you just calm down? These hustlers you called all direction to wake up very early, they are the ones who are asking you, where do you want them to relocate to? Do us a service, Madam MP. Don't call us big names. Because when you call me big names, you are calling them. And we are saying that we have no problem. We leave it to God because He is able. But just do us justice. Stop telling lies. Stop using security forces. And the DCC Mutua Kisilu, stop being engaged in matters that are serving personal interest. We are requesting that you take your thousands and thousands of acres, but that 1,000 acre, IR 1417, LR 1695, please kindly hand it over to the people, the poor people of Ndabibi, by the name of Ndabibi Farmers Company Limited. I've been accused with my husband of opening offices all over. It is always good to open offices because when you are an officer, you need offices, but we also need evidence, maybe photos, maybe secretaries, maybe the physical location of these offices. Let us not feed ourselves and those we want to please with lies so that we can gain mileage. It is not possible. I represent the people of Maiela, and I had a case in 2021. And for this one, I want to quote it very well because I want it noted. It was in Nakuru ELC Court, case number A046 of 2021. And the judgment was given on 27th July 2023. May I quote a paragraph from paragraph 301, whereby the judge, the magistrate, talks about analyzing and determination. He said in particular, especially paragraph number 338 of that case, it says, it is been proved beyond reasonable doubt in this court that the Ndabibi Farmers Company, in fact he puts it that it is important to note that the Ndabibi Farmers Company Limited was able to prove to this court that it received a transfer, a memorandum of transfer after paying a consideration of 200,000 shillings. But, and he talked about the balance of probability. He operated on the balance of probability. And therefore he said the most probable aspect of this case is the Ndabibi have provided their documents. But Kipkulei only provided letters of allotment, which lacked, that I'm talking about particular 238, paragraph 238 of this case, states that the documents provided by one Benjamin Kipkulei lacked a common seal. Therefore, to me, that means the documents are forged. I'm talking about a case that has already gone through ruling. Our claim that people ride on and they are able to bring a false decree that has been dismissed very, very recently. We were required to bring the Survey of Kenya team to the case. So it is not that our case was not valid. It is only that our case required revisit. But from every other angle, our case is valid. And that is why we are standing firm that the Ndabibi Farmers Company Limited cannot, shall not, and should not lose that 1,000 acres. Now, the MCA, who is immediate former, when he took office, he collected 15,000 shillings, and he said it. It is very clear in that record that he collected 15,000 from individuals and he called his company Matanya Jeru. That is something we don't know. And when he collected that money from individuals, he is claiming that we are collecting money and we don't have land. He collected the money and he's insinuating it is me who collected the money. Now, where did you take that money for my MCA? You took it to the bank. I can even give you the bank account where you have deposited that money. You are waiting for us to be chased from this land that you may bring that team. That is why you are fighting vehemently. The people of Maiela did not reject you because of far land. They rejected you because of your inability to perform your duties. The road that you passed on your way to that place where you held that meeting, I just marramed it the other day. You have been there. You didn't do that work. So they didn't fail to understand that land cannot be an issue to take somebody to office. They look at development program. Now, when you collected that money, you intended to bring these people to this land. Where is your Matanyanjero that you collected money for? Isn't it this land you are eyeing? Isn't it why you are all working together so that you plus the chief? I have documents. I have documents of the chief leasing out this land, signing. I have bank accounts where money is being deposited. I have people who are giving a lot of money. Some you are even asking for 70,000 shillings so that you can allocate them that land. Let us all be honest with ourselves. It is not about being an MCA. It is not about being elected. It is justice to the people of Ndabibi and especially in Ndabibi. And finally, the good people of Ndabibi. Remember that the economy of our area depends on that land. I know the people behind this grabbing. And I can assure you, we are in court. That's why I don't want to discuss so much. I have like 7 cases with them. I won't mention names. But if called upon, I'll be able to show that this and this and this are the people who are taking over this land by force. They have no documents, they have not bought it. Benjamin Kipkule was unable to prove to the court that he owns any land there. The documents he brought all totaled to 63 acres. The documents he presented to the courts, that the courts doubted their authenticity, totaled to 63 acres. The rest, 1,004 acres minus 63, 900 and something acres, are what Matanyanjero, the likes of the MP, and those grabbers are eyeing. But they have no documents. And therefore, you are using excessive force, beating people, harassing people, threatening them with death, even putting prices over people's head, all because you want to protect your interest. But history is very, very unforgiving. There is no land in Kenya that doesn't have a historical chronology. And therefore, Benjamin Kipkule should come clear and tell us that these people found that he was not able to fight. They told him, move away, we'll show you how to fight these people. Isn't that the truth? You are trying to fight us. And Benjamin Kipkule tried. Unfortunately, he had no documents. We are saying we have all documents. And I have those documents that I can present to whoever is willing to listen. And therefore, I could not come to that meeting of the MP. Why? Because she has warned me severally that she doesn't ever want to see me in her meeting. The reason, I campaigned for her opponent. And that one you stated before many people while we sat at a hotel called Heritage. You told me on my face that you will never want to see me near you because I campaigned for your opponent. You didn't call me for that meeting. I had it. Just prove that you ever invited me for that meeting. I had it from people. But I thought in my thoughts, my 5-cent thought, that maybe, just maybe because of my people, if I come there, because I'll question you, because I'll insist on truth, maybe I'll leave my people suffering. And that's what you did. You threatened them and you told them after that meeting that nobody should be left there. The whole village is deserted because of the MP of Naivasha, Jane Gituku, as you try to grab that land belonging to the people of Ndabibi, hiding under the name of the President of the Republic of Kenya. Come out, you people, clearly, honor the courts, honor the orders, come and put your documents and let you fight us. In Kikuyu, we usually say, Muigatona kehoto dashokaga. But don't use force, because this thing will come back to you in a big style. We thank God for an opportunity to explain what is happening. We have cases pending in court. That is why it is not easy to keep on elaborating. We have cases with Mwana Mwireri, a fake group that was put together by the administration, including the area chief, to assist them to grab the land. Let them say no. The original Mwana Mwireri that bought that land from ADC, and they have documents, they have agreements, back in 1978, are still in existence. And they have called you to court. You also have a case with them. And you have been allocated land by ADC. Can we separate from today that there is ADC land, there is Eburu Forest land, and there is 1695 belonging to the people of Ndabibi? If we stop mixing issues, we'll be able to understand. You can take all the land you want. You can invade the forest as much as you want. You can occupy as much land as you want. But please keep off 1,004 acres, 4 corners, the 4 beacons of 1695, land legally given to the farmhands of Lord Corbel to deter them from going to Nyandarua to be given land, because land by was being issued at Nyandarua. They requested to be released by Lord Corbel, and they wanted to go to Nyandarua, but Lord Corbel promised that don't go to Nyandarua, I'll give you land. So why are you doing that? Why are you denying these people their right? They have a right to this land and their generations. And when you see these old men, like one called Shui, who was beaten the other day, and he was bleeding as he was being taken to court, can't you ask yourself, why are these men insisting that there is something that is needed? Now, my worry is that you are incarcerating people and taking them out of the county. You are going to prosecute them in Nairobi. Why? Because back then in 2018, 2019, when the MP with his security team descended on the people of Ndabibi, cases that are still ongoing, we sought reprieve from our government then, and they gave us. We were allowed and you are cautioned never to arrest anybody because of that land. Those letters are at the courts of Naivasha. Stop lying. Give correct reasons why you are taking those people to Milimani. Because Naivasha courts is not ready to listen to you, because you only harass people, bundle them in courts, and then after that, you are unable to prosecute the cases, and after they have deposited their bonds, you start frustrating them. I might say that this matter was presented to the Senate, and the Senate agreed to take up the matter. We have served every other office, Kithure Kindiki, the Attorney General, the Office of the President, the Office of the Deputy President, every other office. We have gone, we have moved to the Assembly, but finally God was merciful, and the Senate was attracted by this petition and was presented. We are hoping for the best. The corruption that is going around this land, may it not reach a level where we shall never get justice in this nation. I'm calling upon the President of the Republic of Kenya to please assist us so that we are able to get justice. This hustle, the MP claims that we are insulting her president. We cannot insult the president. All we are saying is, can we have the documents? If you know you were honest, can we please have the documents? We cannot insult the president. We can only cry. And when you are crying, you can say many things. And when you cry, people listen. If we didn't cry, would you have come to this place? Would you have gone to Ndabibi? Would you have come to Ndabibi? If we didn't shout, if we didn't scream, even now we are screaming. Even now we are crying. Even now we are demanding that we get justice. And we believe that our president, who called on the hustler and instructed even the members of the county assembly to get in touch with the Mashinani people so that his operations and his work can be made easier, will listen to these hustlers. The people who are now at Kilimani were people who were going about their businesses and they were just arrested for no reason. The young men were going about their businesses at a town called Central. They actually were not in Ndabibi. The police just came, descended on everybody, and then they went and accused them that they were destroying fences. I want to believe that maybe the GSU decided to just destroy the fence and then accuse our people. We shall know this as we do the investigation. But for now, we trust God in the process. We might not have much to say. We might not have all the security issues. We might not be brought by all the security team for meetings. But our Jesus never leaves us. He's enough security and he'll take these people far. I am not fighting over this land. May it be noted that I am also having another case with Ngati. Right now, those people cannot do farming. I thank our governor who has promised to meet with the people of Ngati and see how to make a resolution. I also request the president to keep his promise that he promised during the campaign when he had landed at Maiela, Ngati, and he said that he's going to make sure that there is a renegotiation with Kengen for compensation, because the land of Ngati has been having a tussle with Kengen over the procedures of purchasing that land. The other day, the DCC also visited Maiela in a place called Ndabibi, because there's also an issue of people being given land, or what we call double allocation, by the Department of Settlement. And you know what? The former MCA, Mr. Gadariki, you own land there, and you also want to evict the people of Ndabibi. May that never happen. We're praying for justice for the people of Ndabibi. I'm asking for justice for the people of Ngati and justice for the people of Ndabibi. All the other land there, we have no problem. You can allocate yourself. You look at SES, the area of SES, you have already allocated yourself. You are fencing the land. You don't want to consider the poor people that are living in Central, in Duru. If you allocate them at least 1 acre, one acre, the rich people usually live closer to the poor people because they need them to work for them. So as you take the hundreds and thousands of acres, remember the hustler. Allocate them 1 acre each. They have no problem. They'll be satisfied. But as much as you need yourself, you also need us. Unless you are planning to put us in vehicles and transport us out of Ndabibi, you still need us. We are crying and we are still crying. That 5,000 acres, if it is distributed to our people, the government's agenda of being sufficient on food matters will actually have materialized. The manifesto of the Kenya Kwanza government can only be assisted if they allow the people of the Ndabibi Central and Ndabibi to occupy that land, even if it is 1 acre, then they'll be able to boost food and crop production. We are looking for a place to store fertilizer. Now, who will get this fertilizer? Only you, with 5,000 acres, and the rest. I believe this government and this Kenya belongs to all of us. Please, let us not lie. Let us not tell lies. Let us be honest. Let us sit down and reason. We have cried literally to everybody to give us an ear. I thank the Senate, and I pray that they will continue supporting us and they will give us an ear. The people incarcerated are now heading to 100 and still more to come. I think you can visit Milimani Law Court and see the scenario. It is ugly. One woman left a baby of 5 months. Another mzee, very old, over 83, was coming from a meeting. The scenario is just terrible. We have received threats, I in particular. And Mr. Edward Maina, whom everybody is talking about, and I thank God for him because he has stood with these people. They are claiming that if you arrest him for them, you'll get a reward of 100,000. You can imagine how serious it is. They have threatened to arrest everybody, and nobody now is safe. They are even claiming that we will know who they are. Live bullets have been used, tear gas canisters, and everybody is no longer safe in this place. We are crying that the government come in, get this matter straight. Let us separate beans, maize. Let us know which is your 5,000 and which is our 1,000. You stay away with your documents and leave our documents alone. There is no time we have ever had offices. There is no time we have ever been collecting money. There is no time I, as an MCA, have asked for people to come and have land. And if anybody can say that I called on her or him to come and there is land for sale, please, let's get this record straight. The only land I know we are fighting for is 1,004 acres, IR 1417, LR 1695, belonging to the Ndabibi Company Limited, with families and with a population that requires this land for their generation. It belonged to them. They acquired it because there was a reason, and we also have the Kenya Gazette, the will that was written by Lord Corwell, granting. This was a grant. There was no buying. This was a grant that granted these farmhands this land. We have that Kenya gazettement. It was gazetted, and it is something that is very legal. They realized that their land was being grabbed in 1983. They wrote a letter to Mr. Munyeki, was a registrar, and they stopped the signing of those maps. And even to date, if you visit the Survey of Kenya, you will find those maps that had corrupted this land issue are still, no signature has been appended. And therefore, this land is intact. The title deeds that were claimed by the chief were given by the presidential assent, the way president gives a title deed. But once he gives title deeds, he requires now you to go back and do the subdivision. Did you do that? Did you do that? The land is still intact. Now, these threats that have continued on, we are praying and we are believing that as many people who have run away, so many of them are away. You come to Ndabibi, you'll be surprised. At the Ondia Center, all of them have run away because of being threatened, imaginary enemies. I don't know even where they are cooking all these issues. We are believing that it is going to come to an end because we have a government in place and a responsible government.